Hello. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, and this is Genesis chapter 19. Deep breath. This chapter is also PG-13 or rated R, restricted. So, who knew this was in the Bible? We have rape and incest in one chapter. So let's just get it all over with so I can stop blushing. Chapter 19, Genesis 19, begins with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So two angels come to the town, and Lot interferes and says, no, don't stay at an inn. Stay in my home, please. They argue, but he insisted. So they stay at Lot's house, and the men of the town come to Lot's house and demand that he send out those two men who were new in town so that they might, and this is the NRSV, know them. And of course, down in the commentaries, you see what that means. So, there's no mutuality going on here between the men of the town as a group and these two angels. So, Lot says, here, take my daughters instead. And what we have to get past in our culture today is that this is not really a story about sex and sexual preference or rape even. It's more about hospitality. When someone comes to your house looking for something, you have to offer them what they want or a viable option, I suppose. I can't really get on board with this. I can't get on board with this. That Lot does this. So they said no. We want these fellas, and there's a scuffle. Lot gets involved in it, and the door shuts, and blah blah. So the angels make the aggressors outside the door blind, and they win the day, and it's all over. And they say to Lot, you need to get out of here because we're going to rain down fire and brimstone on this place tomorrow. And they have to have a little back and forth about that as well. So Sodom and Gomorrah, both towns, are destroyed. And they're warned by the two fellas not to look back when they flee. And flee they do. However, Lot and the two daughters. What's interesting about this is the son-in-laws decide not to flee with them. So they don't believe it's going to happen, and they decide, no, Lot, you take the intended brides and your own bride, and you go if you want to. So apparently the only men that would be his son-in-laws or the fathers of his heirs would be, and they wouldn't be his heir because it's not his son, but they're gone. They die with everybody else in Sodom and Gomorrah. So he takes his wife and his two daughters, and they flee. And the wife, of course, the famous story, looks back and turns into a pillar of salt. Now, does she become a statue that looks just like her, that is made of salt? Or does she just become like a pile of salt? I don't know. I don't think that's important at all. I think what's important is this warning that it's more about the longing of your heart. And if she was longing for something that was displeasing in the eyes of God, it needed to go, and you need to not be longing for it. So that's a hard lesson to learn if you're going to be turned into a pillar of salt. So she was kind of, vaporized. and then they flee to Zoar, which if you look on a map, you'll see Sodom and Gomorrah, Zoar, all in the kind of the same area on the southeastern end of the Dead Sea. And Zoar would be the furthest south. And they live in Zoar in a cave. Okay, so we got through the attempted rape. Okay, great. So now for the incest. They live in a cave. And a big important thing about the culture is lineage and legacy. So, if you're a man, you want to have a son or many sons to carry on your legacy. It's part of your wealth, your value in society that you have an heir. And this is not just Hebrew, this is the world over. We've seen it in antiquity all over the place. People need to have offspring so they can have heirs. So, Lot, it looks like his lineage is going to stop right there because he brought his daughters to this cave and there's no other inhabitants in this area. And if you're a woman, your value is in, you guessed it, your male offspring that belong to you, that you provide to your husband or master, if you're a concubine, that would continue the lineage, the legacy. And so for a woman, it's very important to have an heir child, be the mother of an heir. And for a man, it's very important to be the father of an heir. So that's just completely valuable. I don't even know what we could compare it to in our culture today. It's the highest value. It's not like having a child just to become a family and enjoy that. It's a lot more than that. It's like property and prestige and wealth all wrapped up into one. So having an heir is very important. That's no excuse for what Lot's daughters did. They said, let's get our father drunk. And I'll go in first and see if he'll impregnate me, and then you go in next. So that's what happens. And they get pregnant by, I need a barrette. They get pregnant by their father because they hatch this plan to get him drunk, and yuck. So, that's where it ends. And I really think that there's the point of this being told in this way and just, gross, is that the descendants of Lot are now this, again, like the Canaanites from Ham, remember from the Noah story, are this cursed people. And so the voices here are trying to let us know it's a geopolitical statement about the people that come from the lineage of Lot, because the lineage of Lot is soiled because all his offspring, all his descendants have come through his daughters by his own seed. So enough for our PG-13. We will let's just leave this day in the past, Tuesday, and we'll be having a different story in the 20th chapter of Genesis tomorrow. I hope you will have a blessed day.